आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
Hi there, good evening and welcome to the special broadcast on Republic TV. Hope you had a great Sunday. And now it's time to look forward to the coming week. This show, Looking Forward, is about stories that are shaping up over the coming days and weeks. News that is developing and would have consequences for your life and mine and impact our choices. Stories that shape India's and world's politics and economics going forward. Let's get going. Tonight, 4 stories. Story number 1 brings to you what all is lined up as Parliament meets for the monsoon session beginning tomorrow. Is it going to be the same old story of pandemonium and badlam? Or would our honourable MPs have some serious debate and discussion? I bring to you a lowdown on what's on the minds of the honourable MPs as they start the month-long session. Story number 2 is on the big deal. Coming up, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is all set to travel to London and sign the India-UK trade deal this week. It was in the making for over 3 years, mainly because the British had a revolving door on Prime Ministers, from Boris Johnson to Liz Truss to Rishi Sunak and now, of course, Keir Starmer. But also because the negotiations were intense. You would know tonight what's coming for the 4th and the 6th largest economies of the world. Story number 3 is about Prime Minister Modi in Maldives this week. Yes, Maldives. What a turnaround it has been for the government of Mohamed Muizzu. From running an India Out campaign and winning to inviting Prime Minister Modi as the chief guest on their national day. What went into this change of heart? We will have a look. And finally, story number 4, as each one of us looks up to marking the 26th anniversary of the Kargil War Victory, the Vijay Diwas. You would get to hear from some of the soldiers who participated in that mountain war and lived to tell the tale. It would be up close. Let's begin with the headlines first. Encounter underway in Jammu and Kashmir's Kishtwar. 2 senior Hizbul Mujahideen commanders, Riaz Ahmad and Mudassar Hussain, trapped in the encounter. Monsoon Parliament session to begin tomorrow. Government ready to discuss all issues raised by the opposition at an all-party meet.
Can you see some move from the government in the first week of parliamentation on removal of Justice Verma?
The signature is underway and it has crossed 100 already.
Impeachment motion against Justice Verma to be moved in Parliament. Union Minister Kiran Rijiju says 100 MPs have signed the motion already. China provokes again, begins construction of a $167 billion mega dam on Brahmaputra River near Arunachal Pradesh. Raj Thakre's MNS puts posters in Navi Mumbai warning non-Marathis to learn Marathi. Posters say learn Marathi or face consequences. And a 15-year-old girl set on fire by 3 miscreants in Odisha's Puri district, shifted to Delhi AIMS for further treatment. Minor's condition is critical, says AIMS. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Ideally, what's on the mind of the nation should get reflected in the mind of the Parliament, which meets tomorrow for the entire next month, for the monsoon session. With inflation completely tamed, the government seems to be in a Goldilocks situation vis-a-vis the economy. But then there are trade deals. And then there is Trump. In between, the opposition wants to make a song and dance of Pakistani claims on Operation Sindhu, or at least is projecting that they are curious. It would sure help the Modi government if it has an open dialogue and puts across all the facts. It should get done in a manner that it puts a stamp of finality on India's giving a bloody nose to Pakistan post-Pahalgam. Plus, of course, the legislative agenda. My personal significant one is the bill to make India better prepared for the 2036 Olympics. Have a look at this report and make your own choice.
The Parliament is all set for an all-important monsoon session beginning Monday. To go on till August 21st, with a week-long break for the Independence Day in mid-August, the session will see 21 sittings. On the legislative agenda for the Modi government are 8 new bills that shall be introduced, while 7 others pending from the earlier sessions are to come up for consideration and passing. The government would also seek extension on President's rule in Manipur. Among the important ones are the 2 bills from the Sports Ministry, aimed at creating an enabling ecosystem as India builds up to hosting Olympics in 2036. Then there is a significant bill, the income tax law, to replace the dated 1961 Act. But going by the opposition's posturing over the last couple of days, it seems the fear of washout is not just due to rains outside, but inside too.
निश्चित करना पड़ेगा। मैं पुनः आग्रह करता हूं, इसको गंभीरता से लें और किसी भी स्थिति के अंदर द्वार पर और परिसर पर प्रदर्शन न करें, नहीं तो संसद को उचित कार्रवाई करनी पड़ेगी।
हम पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज अलग अलग विचारधारा का हो सकता है, मगर पार्लियामेंट का सदन अच्छी तरह से चले, ये सबका जिम्मेदारी है। अपोजिशन का भी जिम्मेदारी है और सरकार का भी जिम्मेदारी है।
The government called an all-party meeting today to ascertain what's in opposition's mind.
सरकार की ओर से हम लोग ने सारा पॉइंट्स नोट किए हैं और हमने ये रिक्वेस्ट किया है कि सदन अच्छा से चले, इसके लिए पक्ष और विपक्ष मिल करके हमको काम करना होगा, आपस में कोऑर्डिनेशन अच्छी तरह से रखना होगा।
From Operation Sindoor,
पहलगांव पर जो आतंकवादी हमला हुआ और उसमें जिस तरह से अभी लेफ्टिनेंट गवर्नर साहब ने कहा को इंटेलिजेंस फेल्योर था, तो ये एक बहुत ही गंभीर मामला है और इस पर चर्चा होनी चाहिए।
to the Bihar electoral roll revision,
इलेक्शन कमीशन मुर्दाबाद।
सबसे भी ज़्यादा खतरनाक ये है कि अब पूरी तरह से डेमोक्रेसी खत्म होने जा रही है। जिस तरह से बिहार में SIR स्पेशल इंटेंसिव रिवीजन हो रहा है वोटर लिस्ट का, वो आप सब देख रहे हो। जो 18 साल का है, हो गया है और भारत का नागरिक है, उसको वोट रजिस्टर कराने का अधिकार है। इसका अगर वोट रजिस्टर नहीं होता है तो इसका दूसरा अर्थ ये भी हो सकता है कि वो भारत का नागरिक नहीं है। तो ये अधिकार इलेक्शन कमीशन को भी नहीं और गवर्नमेंट को भी नहीं। ये उसका अधिकार है कि अगर वो भारत का नागरिक है और 18 साल या उससे ऊपर है तो उसका वोट होना चाहिए। लेकिन बिहार में ऐसे करोड़ों लोगों के वोट नाम काटे जा रहे हैं, करोड़ों के।
the Bihar issue is finding resonance amongst many other parties.
Election Commission, the machinery, the manner in which it's being run is complete misuse of Election Commission. It has become like a part of BJP. That is also will be discussed. Of course, what is happening in Bihar, the way that electoral rolls are being prepared, that is clear that it is just going to exclude those who are going to vote for India Alliance.
From American President Donald Trump's ceasefire claims.
ऑपरेशन सिंदूर जब चल रहा था उस दौरान अमेरिका के राष्ट्रपति ने ये कहा कि हमने ये बंद करवा दिया है युद्ध, इमीडिएट इनकम्प्लीट टोटल। तो कभी हमारी पॉलिसी ये नहीं रही कि दो देशों के बीच में तीसरा कोई हस्तक्षेप हिंदुस्तान की नीति में करे। हिंदुस्तान की विदेश नीति पूरी तरह से फेल हो गई। इतनी असफल विदेश नीति आज तक हिंदुस्तान के इतिहास में किसी भी सरकार की नहीं रही जो अब की है। इस पर चर्चा होना जरूरी है।
The important issues to be discussed is that, of course, Operation Sindoor and Indo-Pak conflict and how our sovereignty is being undermined. And PM Modi is not answering that. That is the 24th time that President Mr. Trump has said that he reached out to ceasefire. Isn't it that it compromises our sovereignty? Ours is sovereign nation.
To the issue of southern states, all four of which are ruled by the Indie bloc parties.
Basically, the India Alliance has four governments in the south. They have Karnataka government, Kerala government, Telangana government and Tamil Nadu government. It is the strong areas and there are very, very pressing issues there. Well, language issue will be a very, very important issue which the government of India will have to counter. And in Maharashtra, the BJP introduced Hindi as a language and had to withdraw that order. So therefore, this issue will bring forth unity among the regional parties, right from TMC to the DMK, to the Karnataka Congress and the Maharashtra Shiv Sena and NCP. So it's a very, very core issue this time in Parliament.
From Odisha's self-immolation case,
one of our primary issues would be the deteriorating law and order situation in the state of Odisha. There seems to be a complete collapse of law and order situation in the state of Odisha by the BJP government there. And there seems to be a day-to-day rise, an alarming rise of heinous crimes against women and girl children in the state of Odisha.
the evergreen workers' issue for the left.
The workers, farmers, they are agitating. On 9th July, there was a general strike, and farmers are asking for minimum support price, and trade unions are asking for old pension scheme. They are opposing the 4 labor codes. There are the problems. Economy is in bad shape. Unemployment, underemployment have become burning issues.
The bit of Trump's claims might already be anticipated by the government. So an unusually combative Vice President Dhankar fired a warning shot.
All decisions in this country, a sovereign nation, are taken by its leadership. There is no power on the planet to dictate India how to handle its affairs.
The opposition is expecting to put the government on the mat. Or would it? Let us look at what has happened in the Indie bloc over the last few days. Only this week, Rahul Gandhi was in Kerala, where he ruffled the left's feathers by equating CPM cadres with the RSS.
I fight the RSS ideologically. Yeah. I fight the CPM ideologically. And I fight them in the realm of ideas.
The response was immediate, with the CPM General Secretary M.A. Baby slamming the Gandhis.
I do not know whether Mr. Rahul Gandhi knows what is the record of Congress in Kerala in fighting RSS. The very fact that Rahul Gandhi ji in a way equated CPIM and RSS, betrays the absence of a correct understanding of the role of CPIM and RSS in Kerala or India.
A few days before this exchange, the Aam Aadmi Party had called its quits on the Indie bloc.
इंडिया गठबंधन लोकसभा चुनाव के लिए था, उसके बाद हमने हरियाणा का चुनाव अकेले लड़ा, हमने दिल्ली का चुनाव अकेले लड़ा, हम बिहार में चुनाव अकेले लड़ने जा रहे हैं, हमने पंजाब और गुजरात का उपचुनाव अकेले लड़ा। तो आम आदमी पार्टी ने अपनी स्थिति स्पष्ट कर दी है।
And then there are reports that intense trench war is happening between the Congress and the RJD over seat sharing in the upcoming Bihar elections. For all the bravado being projected, no Indie bloc meetings took place since last year's general election.
It doesn't matter whether the opposition is rock solid united. They have never been and they can't be, because as you know, this is more of an opportunistic rather than a ideological divide that they have. Ideologically they are much more same. In fact, all the parties more or less ideologically, particularly on the economic front, they are more or less same. But it's all about the ego, the existence of the different parties, the existence of the persona of the political chiefs of different parties. That keeps them rather not united than united.
That explains why the government has already agreed for most of the demands of the opposition. It is over to the monsoon session now.
Trying to do our best so that हमने स्थिति का इसलिए बैक को
All right, over to the monsoon session that begins tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. Moving on, India has finally sealed a free trade agreement with the United Kingdom. That's after 3 long years of negotiations with 4 prime ministers across 2 political parties. In fact, India managed this feat back in May, but now it's time to put the pen to the paper, with Prime Minister Modi visiting London this week to do the honours. Just last evening, in fact, India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal announced that the trade deal with EFTA, an economic grouping of Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway and Switzerland, had been sealed. Message to the world is clear. India is ready to play the art of the deal, if the respect is mutual and the terms are fair. Here's a look on how India and the UK did just that and how it will be a game changer going forward.
(2025), the year of trade, tariffs and negotiations. A new world order is emerging, with economy and defense at its heart, and India is ready for the march. On May 6, 2025, just hours before India was preparing its biggest defense strike against Pakistan-sponsored cross-border terrorism, the nation woke up to a significant development.
Hello, Excellency.
Congratulations, Prime Minister. We've achieved something truly historic today. This is the biggest deal the UK has done since we left the EU, and I think I'm right in saying it's the most ambitious that India has ever done.
इसका श्रेय आपके नेतृत्व को जाता है, आपकी डिसिसिव लीडरशिप को जाता है। यह समझौता भारत और यूके कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप में एक मील का पत्थर साबित होगा।
India and the United Kingdom had just concluded 3 years of long negotiations for a free trade agreement. It took 4 prime ministers.
This visit has not only deepened our economic partnership, we've agreed new deals worth £1 billion and created more than 11,000 jobs across the UK in everything from electric buses to the robotic surgery of Smith & Nephew, which I saw yesterday, as well as in artificial intelligence, where India's strengths are remarkable.
And we're working very hard, as I said, on our shared ambition of concluding an ambitious and comprehensive trade deal between India and the UK, because both of us think that would be a good thing, and both of us need to make sure it works for our two countries.
15 rounds of talks. United Kingdom's Brexit, a global pandemic, 2 general elections. Finally settled the negotiations and close the deal. The goal is ambitious: to double India and UK's trade to $120 billion by the year 2030. To mark this historic moment, Prime Minister Modi is all set to fly down to the United Kingdom on July 23rd and 24th for a quick signing ceremony that will seal the free trade agreement, his first visit to London since 2018. The timing of the agreement is quite significant. Post-Brexit in 2020, UK was searching for growth. Meanwhile, India since 2020 has been on the rise, even surpassing the United Kingdom as the 5th largest economy of the world in 2022 and becoming the 4th largest just this year, surpassing Japan. India's rise as Asia's new economic titan that is ready to rise, a deal for the United Kingdom was a no-brainer. The big question was, why did it take so long?
Mr. Liam Fox and Mr. Suresh Prabhu here actually started this whole process in identifying product lines, tariff lines, where an agreement is viable. But it's only on the 4th of May 2021 when the Prime Ministers Shri Narendra Modi and Boris Johnson in a virtual meeting decided to really kickstart the negotiations. So serious negotiations towards a trade agreement started 3 years ago.
Just in the last financial year, India and United Kingdom clocked in bilateral trade upwards of £43 billion. That is nearly 5 lakh crore. With this new deal, the trade between the two nations is expected to rise by 39%, with UK's GDP expanding by 0.1% just as a result of this trade deal this year.
UK-India trade deal is important for us, and it is even more so for UK because UK has exited EU. So the promise to UK electorates was that it will allow UK to fish for new markets on its own, and India is a big market. A free trade agreement hopefully will not only expand the volume. We are supposed to go from $42 billion to 42 billion to 120 billion pounds by 2030.
The journey wasn't easy. Both sides negotiated tough. UK wanted massive cuts on scotch, cars, pharma, while India pressed for textiles, IT, jewelry and professional services. The UK had its carbon tax and India had its dairy and electronics protections. Nobody giving in easily. And then the issue of migration and social security for workers. In the end, who won?
I think this new trade deal, which is going to happen between India and UK, is going to be highly beneficial for India. See, today we are the fastest growing economy amongst bigger nations. Today there's a global slowdown going because of Russia-Ukraine war, other geopolitical situation, and because of the tariffs issue. So currently in these days, the trade deal is going to be highly beneficial. Plus, I think this trade deal is going to definitely make India reach faster the target of being the third biggest economy. and India's target of being a $5 trillion economy.
Out of the deal, the United Kingdom will allow 99% of Indian imports duty-free access to the United Kingdom, with footwear, textiles and clothing, as well as processed prawns, basmati rice and ready meals all set to gain the most. Meanwhile, India, on the other hand, will immediately lower its 150% tariff on Scotch whisky and gin to 75% and then to 40% within 10 years. With tariffs on foodstuffs such as lamb, salmon and cheeses will fall, expected from around 30% to 0. Both sides have also agreed to reduce tariffs on luxury cars from 100% to 10%, with a lock of 0% tariff on industrial machinery, advanced materials for use in high-tech industries and components for electric vehicles. The FTA will also make it simpler for Indian professionals to work in the United Kingdom, with employees of Indian companies working temporarily in the UK for up to 3 years now having the option to pay social security contributions in India instead, giving an increased incentive for companies to second Indian workers to the United Kingdom. Despite comprehensive negotiations, there are skeptics who think India got away with a lot more than the UK. To them, the reply of the Union Minister Piyush Goyal should suffice.
First of all, it's not something that we raised after the new government came in. This is something that has been on the table for the last almost 3 years of discussions. And almost 2 years or 2.5 years ago, this was made a non-negotiable part of our discussions. To bring balance and equity to a trade deal between two economies, one which has a market of 1.4 billion aspirational young Indians, and the other which is a smaller set of people, and largely whose day-to-day needs and whose desires of life have been taken care of. So this was a part of the deal for nearly 3 years now.
Meanwhile, India's march continues. Just yesterday, Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal announced the closing of the EFTA agreement too. 16 years in the making, a $100 billion investment promise in just 1 week, India is signing both the EFTA grouping of Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway and Switzerland and the United Kingdom together, outmaneuvering the months of stalled talks with the United States and rewriting the global script.
Experience that India has gained, or our negotiators have gained, in concluding a deal with UK would certainly form a sort of backdrop to negotiations with other partners, including the US and the EU.
Timing is excellent, timing is perfect, because seeing the current tariff scenario, it's very important that India diversifies its global trade partners. There was a time when US was our biggest trade partner, China also has been our biggest trade partner, but now clearly seeing the way US has been levying tariffs, US has been giving deadlines to various countries including India, it's very important for us to have diversification in global trade partners.
The ball is in US's court as India continues its march for economic cooperation to reach its $5 trillion economy target and surpass Germany. With the India-UK and India EFTA deals done, the signal is clear. To work with India, you need patience, grit and mutual respect. From countless hurdles to the ultimate handshake, the India-UK FTA is not just a piece of paper. It's a promise for millions of jobs, billions in trade and infinite opportunities. As Prime Minister Narendra Modi lands in Britain, the world watches. This is India, mastering the art of the deal.
All right, the big deal, and for a short, quick conversation for perspective, joining me, Mr. Jayant Krishna. He's a senior economist and a trade policy expert. He's also a former CEO of the UK-India Business Council, and that's why we have him here. Very good evening to you, Mr. Krishna. And my first question to you, this was to come in Diwali of 2022, but still perfect timing, we would say, because it's coming just ahead of a possible India-US trade deal?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, the government sources say that the deal negotiations have been on for 3 years, but the matter of fact is they've been on for almost 5 years, and with the involvement of both the prime ministers. It started with the Boris Johnson when he was the prime minister, then with the Liz Truss, then Rishi Sunak, now with Mr. Starmer. So I think it's been going on. It's good. And since, the edges are still very rough as to what kind of deal would happen eventually between the US and in India. So I think this FTA is indeed welcome. It's going to be a win-win for both the countries. Some of the product categories which are where both the countries would win. For example, UK will win because the whiskies, their duty structure will go down from 150% to 75% from immediate effect, and 40% in another 10 years time. If you look at the auto tariff, it will go down from 100% to 10%, of course, under a quota system. So I think India will gain also in a lot of products because almost 99% of Indian exports to the UK, would benefit, and they would fall under zero duty. Eventually, may not be all the product categories immediately, but over a staggered period of time. So I think it helps both the countries very clearly.
It helps both the countries, of course, and that's why those long negotiations and finally all parties saying that it's a win-win situation. My next question to you, Mr. Krishna, is what's the signaling? Is it about India is a tough country to negotiate, or is it about that India is actually now willing to open up as the fourth largest economy in the world?
See, absolutely. I think India is also signaling by getting into FTAs with Australia, with UK, with EU. Also, things are discussion state. Very clearly, India is signaling a gradual end of a protectionism era when it used to raise levy high tariffs just to protect the domestic industry. So I think the signal is very clearly that our domestic industry itself will have to pull up its socks and become globally competitive, improve its quality. They can't be protected endlessly, through a prism of timelessness by high tariff levied for imports from other countries. So I think that's very important. Eventually, if you look at most FTAs, they're a huge and very attractive magnet for foreign direct investment to happen. They'll actually, in the long term, they stimulate the domestic manufacturing. They, as I just said, they reduce protectionism, and also, there is a better access to raw material and capital goods, under most FTAs, and surely.
But is it better access? But is it better access for the United Kingdom actually? Because for us, it's not that big a market, but for them, it's a huge market of 300 million plus middle class, and of course more.
That's right. That's right. The size of our market is much bigger, but of course, some people question that, what's the purchasing power and so on and so forth. But surely our population is much higher. So US gets access to lots of product categories, whiskey, auto products, medical devices, and so on and so forth. Some of the food and dairy products. So I think they get access to large Indian markets, which is good. See, the fundamental thing is most people, at least in India, don't believe that higher degree of trade also helps very directly in the GDP growth. People are non-believers that this can happen. In countries like Singapore, the trade to GDP ratio for India is about, in about 30, between 30 to 40%, it keeps ranging. In Singapore, it is over 100%, So I think the more we encourage trade, it makes our, industry globally competitive. More FDI comes, and consumers benefit in both the countries, I think.
Right. My last quick question to you, Mr. Krishna. India has signed trade deals with Australia, with the United Arab Emirates, with the EFTA, which was announced by Commerce Minister. That's done finally with the UK now. And of course, everyone now looking forward to that big one from Washington, DC. With your understanding, you think that India-UK trade deal happening this week is going to have some dominoes positive effect on the India-US talks also?
I think it does send a signal very clearly to the US that, look here, India is not going to sit back and relax. If things don't work out, well with the US, there are other countries where India has moved ahead. The three countries that you just talked about, European Union discussions are also happening. So surely it gives a negotiation leeway in favor of India during the US-India trade discussions. But by the way, with the US, we are not going for a FTA straight away. It's more of a bilateral trade deal that one is talking about to be concluded by September end this year.
Even there, it's a mini trade deal to begin with. But obviously, Donald Trump would be closely watching as Prime Minister travels to London on July 23rd. And then, of course, that announcement there with Keir Starmer. Thank you so much, Mr. Krishna, for joining us. And with that, we move to the next one. All right, friends, from India out, all in with India. That has been the full circle journey of Maldivian President Mohamed Muizzu. Just a couple of years ago, he hedged all his bets on China with a massive anti-India platform and swept Mali with a victory. A state visit to China and a photo op in Lakshadweep later, Muizzu soon understood that India is an all-weather anchor partner for the archipelago. 3,000 crore rupees and $400 million currency swap later, and after a state dinner at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, Muizzu is now returning the courtesy by inviting Prime Minister Modi as a state guest for their 60th National Day celebrations. But will this be enough for President Muizzu to course correct? Our next report attempts to decode just that.
The next chapter of Indian Ocean geopolitics is being written. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is all set to land in Maldives this week, visiting as the chief guest for the Maldives' 60th National Day. This feat, however, wouldn't have made global headlines before 2023. After all, Prime Minister has already visited Maldives successfully in 2018 and 2019, but something changed in 2023. In 2023, Maldives elected Mohamed Muizzu, leader of People's National Congress, as their president, with a plank of pro-Chinese investment and India out campaign.
We may be small, but that doesn't give you the license to bully us.
While in May of 2024, India withdrew its military personnel in the eye of the storm, who were stationed in Maldives to operate and maintain 2 helicopters and Dornier aircraft India gifted earlier. It took India just one picture to send the entire island nation into a tizzy. That is because in January 2024, Prime Minister launched a quiet tourism campaign for India's Lakshadweep Islands, striking a nerve with Maldives. The photography created quite a storm, with 3 ministers spitting venom online against the Indian Prime Minister in breach of all diplomatic protocols. While the 3 ministers lost their job, Maldives lost a lot more. The backlash in India was immediate, and then began boycott trend and airlines cancelled flights. The Maldives' vital tourism sector was left in shambles. A week after the Lakshadweep photo saga, Muizzu had visited China for a state visit, and while he hoped for relief ahead of an impending default on debt payment, China was hardly any help. 6 months later, despite his India out pitch, he flew to the national capital for the first time for the swearing-in ceremony of the Prime Minister.
What will be the focus of your visit, sir?
We have a very strong bilateral relationship.
And since then, high-level contacts between the two nations have resumed.
We are actually the biggest country in Maldives' vicinity. We are undoubtedly a big country in South Asia. Historical linkages, we have had very strong historical linkages. When Maldives has faced problems, India has always been the first responder. Be it the coup, or be the tsunami, or the water shortage, India has responded, and Maldives realizes that in case of any crisis, if there is one country which can respond the earliest, that's India.
While China talked big but delivered slow, with the defense being the top of its priority, on the other hand, Maldives needed Indian trade, economic support and swift disaster relief more than ever.
I am thankful for the Indian government's decision to provide support in the form of 30 billion Indian rupees in addition to $400 million bilateral currency swap agreement, which will be instrumental in addressing the foreign exchange issues we are facing right now.
I always believe that Indian Ocean is primarily should be India's ocean, where India should be the prima donna. And I think we are the largest littoral naval power in Indian Ocean. And I think the countries of Indian Ocean look towards India to provide them succor in times of any humanitarian assistance or disaster. So if we have to fulfill this responsibility, Maldives' geographical location makes it extremely important.
And like it has always in the past, India once again came to aid and assist Maldives with the state visit of the President Muizzu in October last year. His second visit in just 4 months. And his tone changed.
India is a key partner in the socio-economic and infrastructure development of the Maldives and has stood by the Maldives during our times of need. I would like to thank Prime Minister Modi, the government and people of India for the generous assistance and cooperation extended to the Maldives over the years.
It was during this time that he invited Prime Minister Modi for a state visit.
This itself signifies the ambition that is there for the relationship in the coming years. So there is very little doubt, if any, in our mind that we will continue to work with the Maldives in a very close manner as we did previously.
See, when he came to power on the at behest of on a campaign that India out, and consequently he tried to reduce or diminish India's influence. But I think very soon he realized that Maldives cannot survive by antagonizing India.
So as the fireworks light up Maldives' skyline, only one question remains. Will this visit mark a reset? Will Muizzu finally acknowledge that his India out gamble misjudged India's staying power and China's hollow promises?
भारत ने सदैव मालदीव के लिए फर्स्ट रिस्पॉन्डर की भूमिका निभाई है। भारत ने हमेशा अपने पड़ोसी होने के दायित्व को निभाया है और आज हमने आपसी सहयोग को स्ट्रेटेजिक दिशा देने के लिए कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इकोनॉमिक और मैरीटाइम सिक्योरिटी पार्टनरशिप विजन अपनाया है।
As Operation Sindoor Victory remains in headlines, there was another one against Pakistan. One fought in harsher conditions, tougher constraints, and perhaps impossible odds. The year was 1999. Pakistani soldiers had captured peaks in the Kargil sector. While the new India has redefined hot chase and surgical strikes in the enemy territory, back then the Indian armed forces were called to protect their motherland and reclaim every inch of land from Pakistani occupation without crossing the LOC. This is the story of Operation Vijay. This is the story of Vijay Diwas. This is the story of Ye Dil Mange More. This 26 July, this week, the nation celebrates 26 years of Kargil Vijay. Join us to salute our brave hearts. Jai Hind. Jai Hind Ki Sena.
This week, India will celebrate Kargil Vijay Diwas. Marking a historic triumph over Pakistani forces, the nation together will remember the fallen soldiers and reminisce the unforgettable moments of Operation Vijay. Indian Army has begun the preparations for the 26th anniversary of Kargil Vijay Diwas. Across the country, commemorative events have been scheduled to celebrate the kicking out of Pakistani soldiers from Indian soil. Indian Army is reaching out to the families of 545 soldiers who were martyred in the 1999 Kargil conflict. team of army personnel are visiting the houses of martyrs and delivering letters of gratitude and commemorative mementos. This year, the celebrations will be even more special as the Kargil Diwas falls on the heels of a successful Operation Sindoor. For every Indian, Kargil is not just a word but a feeling that resonates and evokes national pride. It was a conflict that rewrote our military history in 1999. A battle fought on some of the world's toughest mountainous war fronts. A battle not just for strategic heights, but for national honor and sovereignty. On 26 July 1999, India declared Operation Vijay a grand success. Our forces had recovered every inch of intruded territory. The flag flew once again atop the brutal heights, not because of numbers or equipment alone, but because of the determination of the men who never turned back. Every name in that roll of honor tells a story of a young life that chose nation above self, of a comrade who stood firm under fire, and of leadership that did not leave any men behind. Amongst them was Major D.P. Singh, a young officer of 7 Dogra who was severely injured by a mortar blast near the LOC in the Akhnur sector. And today, 26 years after the historic battle, Major D.P. Singh remembers every single gunfire, wound and blast that redefined India's position.
ऑपरेशन विजय 1999 में जो लड़ाई हमने लड़ी अपने नॉट सो फ्रेंडली नेबरहुड के साथ, उसमें कईयों की ज़िंदगी बदल गई। 527 शहीद हुए, जिनके घर में अब वो नहीं हैं, उनका दुख दर्द अभी भी वैसा ही है। लेकिन मेरी भी उस लड़ाई में ज़िंदगी बदल गई। और मैं अगर आपसे कहूं कि उस सैनिक ने जो अपनी ड्यूटी कर रहा था सीमा के उस पार, उसने अपनी ड्यूटी पूरी तरीके से निभाई। वो बॉम्ब मेरी तरफ फेंका और अपना एमुनेशन का नुकसान कर लिया। वो बॉम्ब मेरे से 1.5 मीटर की दूरी पे गिरा था और सिखलाई के हिसाब से 8 मीटर का जो दायरा है वो किलिंग जोन माना जाता है। मुझे क्षति भी बहुत हुई, लहूलुहान 73 छर्रे बॉम्ब के मेरे अभी बॉडी के अंदर हैं और बहुत सारे ऐसे थे जो काटते हुए चले गए। लेकिन लेडीज जेंटलमैन, मुझे गर्व होता है, ये जो टीम थी 7 डोगरा बटालियन के वो बहादुर जवान जिन्होंने मुझे अपनी जान पे खेल के युद्ध क्षेत्र से इवैक्यूएट किया, उन्हें मालूम था कि दुश्मन सिर्फ 80 मीटर दूर बैठा है और गोली आराम से मारी जा सकती है। 4 सिपाही जो स्ट्रेचर पे लेके मुझे आ रहे थे, उनमें से एक सिपाही इतना अच्छा स्विमिंग नहीं जानता था और मेरे पीछे एक नदी बहती थी। मैं कारगिल के इलाके, जो कारगिल मशको द्रास उस इलाके में इंजर्ड नहीं हुआ था, मैं अखनूर के इलाके में पलावाला के पास जो एक PP6 थी उसके ऊपर इंजर्ड हुआ था। लेकिन उस सिपाही ने छोड़ा नहीं, क्योंकि हम जो सैनिक हैं, जो भारतीय सेना के सैनिक हैं, उनके लिए एक्चुअल में नेशन हमेशा फर्स्ट होता है। नेशन कम्स फर्स्ट, देन कम्स योर टीम। नेशन के बाद हमारी टीम आती है एंड योर ओन ईज एंड कंफर्ट कम्स इन दी एंड एट लास्ट। और यही कारण था कि मेरे टीम के व्यक्तियों ने, उन सिपाहियों ने उठा के मुझे वहाँ से इवैक्यूएट किया। मैं हमेशा इनका ऋणी रहूँगा ताउम्र। शुक्रिया दोस्तों।
Major Singh was declared dead on arrival, but doctors revived him. His right leg was amputated, but he refused to give up. Today, he is India's first amputee marathon runner and a symbol of grit. The injuries may have been permanent, but his resolve became stronger. His life is a testament to the Kargil spirit. Kargil wasn't just a war zone. It was a place where courage was redefined. And then there was Captain Vikram Batra, a 24-year-old officer from 13 Jammu and Kashmir Rifles who led from the front during the capture of point 5140 and point 4875. His call sign, Ye Dil Mange More, became synonymous with his victory and fearlessness. During the mission, Batra volunteered to rescue an injured soldier under heavy fire. He was fatally shot in the process, but his men captured the peak. And remembering Captain Batra's valor, his twin brother shares some of the most memorable anecdotes and his last words.
I 100% agree with this, what Vikram has done at a young age of 24. That is what I call a true nationalism is. That's what I call a true patriotism is because I remember जब कारगिल की लड़ाई शुरू हुई थी तो उन्होंने कहा था and it was a very general conversation, वो किसी छुट्टी पे आए हुए थे और immediately things were getting hot. तो उनके किसी फ्रेंड ने बोला कि यार you're moving to Kargil, just take care of yourself. तो उन्होंने एक फ्लो में कह दिया था कि या तो तिरंगा लहरा कर आऊँगा या तिरंगे में लिपट कर आऊँगा, लेकिन वापस ज़रूर आऊँगा, राइट. और उन्होंने वो दोनों चीज़ें करके दिखाई, वो तिरंगा वहाँ लहरा कर भी आए और तिरंगे में लिपट कर भी आए. तो मुझे लगता है वो पैट्रियटिज्म तो वही होता है, राइट, दैट यू लिव फॉर इंडिया, यू लिव फॉर द कंट्री. एंड कमिंग टू 26 years, आई थिंक एट द यंग एज ऑफ 24 जब आप एक 17,000 फीट की ऊंची पहाड़ी में लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं जी, वो अपने भारत के लड़ रहे हैं आप, राइट. और बहुत लोगों ने उनके इंटरव्यूज़ देखे होंगे, तो मुझे लगता है कि उनका जो ट्रू नेशनलिज्म कह सकता हूँ, पैट्रियटिज्म था. आई डोंट नो हाउ मेनी पीपल वुड हैव वॉच्ड देयर इंटरव्यू. तो उन्होंने एक इंटरव्यू में जब उनको जर्नलिस्ट ने पूछा था कि आपका सबसे बड़ा सक्सेस क्या था, तो उनका रिप्लाई क्या था एट अ यंग एज ऑफ 24, ही सेड कि आई वेंट अप विद 6 men and I came back with 6 men. His country was a top priority that he wanted to hoist the tricolor on the peak. Again, the nationalism was displayed when he said that I went up with 6 men, but I came back with my 6 men. So that speaks that, Vikram is continuing to live, and Vikram is continuing to live in the heart of every Indian for what he's done by being a true patriot and by being a true Indian national.
Vikram Batra once again said he would return either hoisting the national flag or wrapped in it. For the nation, he ended up doing both. Kargil Vijay Diwas is remembered of what was sacrificed to keep the tricolor flying. It is a day to honor those who never asked why. They only asked when. The war lasted over 2 months, but the lessons remain a guiding light.
26th July. It is not just any other date for me. It is a date that is etched on my soul with 3 words: duty, honor, and country. I am so proud to say that I was part of this battle in its entirety, from the day it began and the day it ended. The logistics installation that I was posted into had the responsibility to ensure availability and timely supply of all warlike stores and arms and ammunition to the fighting forces. We had to be first time right, and there was no margin of error. Personally, it was also a time of great challenge for me. My husband was fighting the battle in the Diwas sector, where the most treacherous battle was being fought. I had my 3-year-old son with me, and also I was in my 2nd trimester of the 2nd pregnancy. Challenges were hard, but so was my resolve.
Kargil Vijay Diwas celebrations are not just about memorials or marches. It is about carrying forward the legacy of valor of men like Major D.P. Singh and Captain Vikram Batra.
Hope you enjoyed this. This is all what is happening over the next week, so you can look forward to these incidents, events, and of course the Parliament's monsoon session. With this, we come to an end of this show, and a short break. Live and breaking is on the other side, and of course tomorrow 8 p.m. Super Prime Time Max. Be there with Arnab Goswami.
energy like Diwas.